Welcome back to our special coverage of the grand finale of the Mahindra BAJA SAE India 2016. Now, over 150 teams from engineering colleges all across the country have come all the way here to Pithampur to test the specially designed off-road vehicles or these buggies. What they're looking to do with these buggies is impress the who's who of India's automotive industry. And that, my friends, isn't an easy task. After completing registration formalities and settling into an allotted garage, each team faced their first challenge, a barrage of tests with zero tolerance for errors. Teams had to formally showcase their buggies and build records to a jury of engineering experts and BAJA alumni, who scrutinized each ATV with a fine-tooth comb. Technical inspections were partnered with marketing and economic feasibility presentations as well, all in an effort to school the young engineers in the workings of the auto industry. But with most of the colleges having sent teams to BAJA in the past, the students seemed confident at this stage.
Winning is not getting ahead of others, it's getting ahead of yourself. This is the motto that our team has been following since its inception. So every year that experience that we get, every year the lessons that we learn, we try to improvise upon that thing.
This time we have many innovations. This is the most compact car of our last 6 years.
We have innovated a lot of new things, like we have designed and manufactured our own caliper. That is the one major actually used thing for student design competition like BAJA.
Students have started using CVT instead of manual transmission. That is something new. Most of the teams have been doing CA analysis. Most of the team has been doing a safety analysis. All these things have improved the way automotive industry has progressed in terms of emissions, safety. Same thing happening in BAJA also. So I think this event is running, the students are running along with how the industry is running, taking care of the regulations.
Presentations cleared, it was time for the 4 static tests that checked the weight, dimensions, engines and engineering of the buggies. These tests ensure that the buggies are ready to race and in compliance with all safety regulations.
The weight has reduced from 500 kg to now the minimum weight is 138 kg. That's quite low. Last year we gave them a target of 200 kg and they were able to do it. This year we gave them a target of 150 and I'm very happy. The average is around 175, 180. Weight ranging from 138 to 238.
The static tests are only the beginning of the long and arduous journey, but they help the teams prepare for the slightly tougher and more meaner challenges up ahead. These dynamic tests are designed to evaluate the roadworthiness of each buggy, beginning with the figure of 8 test that helps check the steering systems. Next up is the braking test, where it's paramount that all wheels lock when the driver hits the brakes. Braking is followed by acceleration, which as ever is the most popular challenge. After all, who doesn't like to answer the need for speed? This is followed by the maneuverability test, held on a track that's seriously tougher than it looks. Teams are then required to clear a hill climb. With its 26-degree incline, the test does provide a do-or-die moment for both the drivers and the audience. The big change this year though was the suspension and traction test, whose difficulty was raised up by more than just a notch.
The articulation dips that we have are deeper and cars will have a tough time going through it. But the highlight is the 5-foot drop, that we have off a ledge. So we have a plateau which is about 5 feet high and they have to jump off. That is going to be very, very exciting. The steps going up are tougher, higher and narrower, and we have moving logs. So there's a rock crawl, except that I know some of the cars which are really very well built, they're going to just fly over the rocks. But that is something that you should see and that will be very exciting for everybody, the spectators as well as the participants.
Eventually, drivers who pushed really hard were rewarded with spectacular splashes, jumps and the best times. Yet, the track did manage to whittle the pack down to 126 teams.
The hardest track ever for suspension. So we got one failure in our car. We break our right ball joint.
Most of the teams have definitely tried avoiding this S&T track, but definitely it is, I would say, at par with the international suspension and traction standards that the US Baja follows.
Till now we have performed well, and also let's hope that we will perform well on endurance race.
After all that hard work, after all those tests, this is what it finally boils down to. A 4-hour, 5-kilometer long endurance race. So, let's get down to it. But first, here's what the teams were up against. A 5.2 kilometer long natural terrain track. Yes, that's longer than the Budh International Circuit and as challenging thanks to the numerous obstacles it houses.
You'll see that we have another event called the Mountain High, another obstacle. And earlier we used to have a gradual climb down. This time we have about a 30-35 degree incline on gravel. So that's going to be very exciting because it's a blind drop. And the drivers and the cars are going to take a beating.
This track was sent to them in advance. We have told them what new things are coming, like a descent at 30 degrees, or like a camel hump, or a water turf. Everything has been told to them, and I'm sure they must have made their car better in terms of lower weight, better stability, or strong steering, suspension and brake.
I've been abroad and I've seen the Baja vehicles there, and we are not there yet. And that's why I make it more difficult. Let them go through the ardors of the track and then understand whether the vehicle stands up to it at all.
There was a sense of nervous excitement in the air as the 120-odd buggies lined up, ready to go. The race began carefully, with only a handful of buggies being able to rush through the undulating terrain. The rest were seen carefully navigating their way through the dust and bumps. Then there were the new additions to the track, a patch of forest land that made the layout a bit more challenging. And a water splash that asked for some bravado from the drivers. But it was the mountain-high hill climb section that turned out to be particularly challenging. With big rocks lining the approach and most buggies lacking the adequate grunt to make the climb, several ended up stalled. The race even had to be red flagged for 30 minutes so that officials could attend and help the stranded buggies. Eventually, as the third hour rolled by, pit stops were taken, buggies were refueled and some drivers changed. But the teams on track refused to let the conditions get the better of them. Covered in muck, the buggies and their drivers continued to give it their all as they soldiered on through the fourth and final hour of the race. Despite the increased difficulty of the track, average lap times actually reduced by a fair margin, rewarding super quality engineering. This was indeed a race of attrition, and it ensured that only the very best came out on top.
पहले शुरुआत में 1.5-2 घंटा मैंने गाड़ी थोड़ा स्लो चलाया, थोड़ा ऑब्जर्व किया हाउ वाज द ट्रैक. कल मैं ट्रायल लैप तो मेरे को ठीक से मिला नहीं बिकॉज मेरा गाड़ी का प्रॉब्लम था. उसके बाद में मैंने थोड़ा ऑब्जर्व किया गाड़ी का ट्रायल लैप कैसा है, क्या है, दूसरे टीम का स्ट्रैटेजी देखा हाउ इट इज़, और फिर बाद में मैंने थोड़ा मन में देखा कि चलो अभी 2 घंटा बाकी है तो आई कैन ट्राई माई लेवल बेस्ट और आई कैन इट. मैंने वो अच्छा किया.
आई नो माई वीक पॉइंट्स ऑफ द कार एंड द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ माई कार, सो आई वॉज थिंकिंग कि मैं पहले से लीड लेता हूँ तो मुझे आखिरी में ज़्यादा सही बात करना है. तो मैंने स्टार्टिंग में वही कोशिश की कि मैं आगे रहूँ और दिस वॉज माई स्ट्रेटेजी. वी हैव बीन स्ट्राइविंग सिंस 3-4 years to come to participate in this event, and our dream was successfully fulfilled now.
We had tested our car extensively, and I knew my car pretty well. I was very familiar with my car, and I also knew that the car was pretty reliable. So thought of going slow initially, and then after going through the track completely and after realizing the track completely, I thought I should speed up.
The points were quickly tallied and top laurels were won by the College of Engineering Pune, which bagged 9 awards in all. The Allard College of Engineering Pune and the SRM University of Chennai were judged the second and third best team respectively. The event also saw 71 students being recruited by sponsor companies, while the Baha HR meet held at LNCT Indore allowed 2,000 students to appear for the BAT exam. And now all eyes are tuned to the next edition, which will mark a decade of SAE Baha in India.